Is it on?
Yeah.
Yo.
Good.
Yo.
I'm Jen Jackson. I teach here. I go here. I'm introducing tonight's guest. Partly because I was super excited when one of my students came to class on Tuesday and was like, "Oh, I'm hosting this," but also because I'm from Oakland, so I wanted to be able to have this conversation with you. Yes. All right. We got Blake Simons. Don't see part of him. So if y'all know anything about the Hillback podcast or their work, they also have the People's Breakfast in Oakland. I want to talk to you about that. If you know anything about Oakland, does anyone know anything about Oakland in here? Yes? Okay, so we know about gentrification. We know about the houseless crisis that's happening right now in the Bay Area. And what's really great about their work is that they've been showing up for young folks, folks who are on the streets, folks who need hygiene packs, who need food, who need support in the Bay Area, providing them with the support that they need. So this is not just about having a conversation about a podcast, but also about thinking about how we service communities and how we show up for one another in very specific and special ways. And so I wanted us to think about that as we go into the podcast tonight, and think about things like neoliberalism, race, gender, class, orientation, embodiment. That's what we'll be talking about, I assume, since that's what we've been talking about since the podcast started. Yes?
Something like that.
Right. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started, and thank y'all for coming out, and let's talk to Blake.
What's happening? How y'all doing?
It's cracking.
Shit, we finna
My
have to
shit
try
on?
that again.
I don't think is my shit on? Yeah.
Is it on? It's on.
Y'all can hear? I can barely hear myself. I'm
You
low
turn his
though.
mic up a little bit?
Yeah, just a
somebody
little
turn his mic
bit.
up a little bit? I'll be talking louder too. All right, how y'all doing again? Let's try that again.
Yo, there we go. All right, I'm fucking
All
with
right.
it.
For sure.
It's cracking. How y'all doing? Y'all look amazing. Hella black people in this motherfucker. Keeping it hella black. Super late to be in Chicago. Yeah, I got like mixed emotions.
We've been through a lot. Honestly, our first like 10 minutes here.
I was skeptical how I would have started this because I'm like, damn, I can end the podcast before we even started because y'all might want to fuck me up after this hot take that I have.
We had some hot takes on Twitter when we got here, and people was like, "Oh shit, yeah, y'all gonna get ran out of Chicago talking the way y'all talking."
I got a lot of love and respect for Chicago. This is my
most
first time.
definitely.
Yeah, this is my first time out here. But if you be on the internet, you feel me, grew up. I feel like it reminds me a lot of Oakland. Just like when I think about Chicago, I think about black shit. Like I see black people when I think about Chicago. And growing up in Oakland, you see a lot of black folks. Not as many right now, but you know.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of it.
We got a lake too. It's kind of small though in comparison. It's called Lake Merritt. It don't smell good, but you know we be getting popping over there.
So since I see the similarities between Oakland and Chicago, naturally, I'm gonna take Chicago people's advice. I would like to think that black folks tend to know what they're talking about when it comes to food.
And we both like food. Like we fuck up some wings. You feel me? Like we gonna cuss throughout this shit. So yeah, that's just how it's finna be. But.
Yeah. So on the way over here, I'm like, damn, am I gonna address this shit? And I guess I'm kind of in it right now, so I might as well dive all the way into it. But Chicago is a beautiful place. I got a lot of things going for y'all, but Harold's is not one of them. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that right now. Harold's. Y'all fuck with Harold's in here?
We went to the one off 87.
How did I go to is 87 not the one to go to?
Off 87. It is.
So what are you niggas saying? Like, how did I go to the wrong one?
We literally took a lift like 25 minutes from where we stand for the chicken. Like we was really serious about Harold's. Like everybody talk about Harold's. Like Freddie Gibbs made a song about Harold's.
Bro, my own brother, this nigga has never been to Chicago a day in his life. I'm asking, I'm like, where should I go eat at? This nigga said Harold's. I'm like, nigga, you've never been there. That's how large the reputation of Harold's is it got niggas who ain't never even been there speaking on it and advising folks to go visit the shit. And you know, I should have known better when I ordered I think I ordered the fish and wings, right?
See, it's about to order now.
Let me explain. Can I explain real quick? When I went on Google, the shit said like seafood and chicken shack. Why wouldn't I get fish? Why wouldn't I?
Shit, we ain't in Oakland. In Oakland, you be ordering fish when you go to the hood spot, the hood chicken spot.
In Oakland, when something says seafood and chicken, I'm gonna get
seafood and chicken.
See, now niggas got all these other recommendations, all this other advice. Where was this shit at when it was 11 o'clock at night and I'm in a $35 lift to fucking Harold's?
My shit was drowning in that mild sauce. The mild sauce was good, but like my chicken was waterboarded. Like that shit was really just drowning in chicken. But that shit was not cool at all.
It was wild, man. So again, like I said, Chicago is a beautiful place. Y'all got a lot of shit going for y'all.
That shit beautiful out here. The water hella blue. I was like, damn, we in Miami right now. We woke up like, damn.
I don't know if y'all been to Miami. I swear to God, like where we staying at off like Lakeshore, the shit looks like South Beach. Like, it reminds me about Miami a lot. I'm like, oh, it's fucking beautiful out here.
And then you go outside. I'm cold as shit.
Yeah.
Man, it's warm too today, right? Yeah. No.
Who said no? Hey, on the ride over here, we in the car and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful 55 degrees today.
I said, hell no.
Nigga, what? 55 degrees.
Like in Oakland, people wear like full ass like sweatsuits at 70 degrees. Like it really be
100%.
like you'd be some sweats. Like just like I'm dressed now, you'd be dressed like that. 70 degrees. I don't know. Maybe we wild.
Nah,
but
we're not trying to give y'all a hard time. I'm hella grateful to be in Chicago. Hella grateful to be in this space. Want to say thank you to all the folks that made it possible for us to get here.
Yeah, can we give a round of applause to everybody who made this happen? Because I know it's hard, especially like as students going to school, you know, working a job, be able to organize things like this. And we know that, you know, institutions like this or historically white institutions, they don't support black people at all. So for able, you know, to bring us out here, you know, that means a lot to us for real. Like to coming from the Bay Area, coming from Oakland, all the way to be out here in Chicago, like it's shit nuts. Like I'm very grateful, very happy to be here for sure. We both are.
Yeah, super grateful, super appreciative. And for those that aren't familiar with Hella Black, we want to go ahead before we even start the podcast, just let y'all know this is a safe and inclusive space for all black people, all black folks. And I'm not familiar with the campus, but I'm assuming all y'all go here. So if you're not with that, you know, inclusive politic, that revolutionary politic, you can find a door. I don't know where it's at, but somewhere around this motherfucker.
There's some big doors.
So if you're not about the liberation of all black folks, you know, go ahead and see the door. Because for the next hour or so, that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you don't got to learn, you feel me? Like, if you're willing to learn, that's what we about too, you feel me? When we say Black Lives Matter, we talking about all of us, you feel me? Black poor folks, black queer folks, you feel me? The whole black community is what we talking about. Like, if we talking about liberation, it can't just be a pick and choose, like, oh, only black straight men gonna get liberated. Nah, bro. That shit don't work like that. That ain't liberation, that's just another form of oppression, you feel me? So we talking about all of us. So that's the space we want to curate, you feel me? And that's the space that we're gonna talk about today, and that's the politics that we got. So, you know, rock with us, you feel me? Learn with us, and we trying to learn from y'all too. And we're gonna ask y'all to like participate. That's the kind of conversations. It ain't trying to be like we just talking at you. We want to be inclusive, you feel me? Where we talking back. If you like something we say, snap. I already hear some snaps. You know, we on the college campus, snap. If you don't like what we saying, you know, just keep it quiet till after we can talk for sure.
In addition to how trash Harold's was, another thing that Blake and I talked about, because we've done like multiple live podcasts, right? And I don't know, we've done some on college campuses, but also just within our community in Oakland. And I don't know, I figured this was like a good icebreaker. I figured when we come to college campuses, that's when I tend to get a little nervous, because unfortunately we spoke at mostly all PWIs so far, and I don't consider myself like, if you know about Hella Black, this shit kind of just started out of a fucking garage for real, with us just wanting to, you know, tell more stories and like enter into a medium that niggas in Oakland wasn't really in. Like, a lot of people were writing this shit in Oakland, but a lot of motherfuckers wasn't like fucking with podcasts at the time. So it really came from us wanting to step into a medium that wasn't the norm in our city. And for us to be like speaking at college campuses and shit now in front of all y'all academics, it can be a little scary for me. Cause like I was a student athlete, my nigga. Like it was, if y'all know
we
that
both were student athletes. Like
both of us was Division I student athletes. So y'all know how that come. Like they say student athlete, but you an athletic student for real. So like sports was my main focus. So I never considered myself an intellect. So when I come into like these kind of spaces, I'd be a little nervous for real, especially coming to the University of Chicago. Like from what I heard about this place, it's I guess prestigious or whatever. I guess it would be considered prestigious. So I'm like, fuck. When I get in spaces like this, I be a little nervous sometimes, because as you can see as we talk, I use a bunch of slang, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga come in sweats and J's and shit, so I'll be like trying to be my most authentic self. So I was a little nervous about that. Me and Blake talked about it and shit, so I think like entering this space, if it's one thing I had to tell myself today before we got up here, was just like, damn, like, regardless of who I am, regardless if I fit the norm or the standard, whatever that standard is, it's usually some white supremacist standard, it's usually some white supremacist norm. You feel me? My thoughts matter, my shit matter, and I'm sure y'all might deal with that sometimes when y'all step into this space, right? Step into these classrooms. I just got told, I think like 5% of the undergrad population here is black. So I know y'all stepping into these classrooms being the only people of color, being the only black folks in there. And if y'all got them kind of thoughts, I want y'all to know like y'all shit do matter. Y'all got value to add to the classrooms. Y'all got value to add to these spaces. And that's something I'm still dealing with right now. 26 years old, speaking at college campuses, just having to remind myself of the value that I got to offer these spaces. So I just wanted to reiterate that message. And I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, because even though these spaces aren't for us, like we still here rocking. You know what I'm saying? Hello Black podcast still happening. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's really important to just know your worth outside of these white supremacist values. And I feel like colleges and a lot of like prestigious colleges, if that's what they want to call them, I'm just like, they try to indoctrinate you, tell you how to think, tell you how to talk, tell you how to dress, and try to almost make you become part of the status of the university, right? So they want to indoctrinate you, tell you, all right, you got to be like this, go get this job, don't care about your people, and just become that special one. So I know for myself, I went to UC Berkeley, and that's another quote unquote prestigious university, named after a slave owner, George Berkeley, like hella slave owner monuments and shit in Berkeley. And Berkeley's supposed to be this like, progressive place. They say the Bay Area, Oakland, oh, it's so progressive, like, all Black Lives Matter. Is like, nah, that's not really what
Berkeley
it is.
Against hate.
Yeah, like Berkeley united against hate, Oakland united against hate, but y'all just like bought a house from someone who just got evicted. And now you're saying like, oh yeah, anti-gentrification. No, you are the gentrifier. That's how it'd be out there. It'd be wild. But I know for me going to Berkeley, I was like, it's still weird sometimes to be doing like public speaking engagements. I've done a few, and I still just feel like nervous sometimes before. And I think that's also like when I was a student at Cal, I was afraid to raise my hand and afraid to talk. Like I would get like anxiety just to even speak, just because everybody in the room is white. I'm an athlete on top of that, and it's like, they judge you for being an athlete. Like, oh yeah, you just got in because you could play sports. Yeah, I could play sports, but I'm still smarter than you, for real. We can go toe to toe on the field and in the classroom. So we just want to acknowledge, you feel me, like what it means to be like a Black student, a Black person on this campus. I'm sure it ain't easy, It can be super isolating, even though you're in a Black neighborhood, right?
Yeah. So now we're gonna dive into it, and
how many of y'all listen to Hello Black?
it's okay if you don't. Don't be ashamed.
Oh, okay. We're gonna get some new listeners by the end of this.
To the motherfucker for real.
Yeah, for real. them niggas trash, for real. I don't fuck with them niggas, man. If you see them niggas, tell me, man. It's on site.
don't be ashamed if you don't listen. I don't listen to this shit, so it's all love. But usually what we do for like our first segment is we have this piece called Black Joy. You wanna like give a little?
Yeah. So Black Joy for us is really just trying to choose joy. Like this world can be hella tough. All these things going on, all these systems of oppression. You go on social media. It's, another killing, another injustice, everything is going on. Your own life can have different difficulties going on. So we think it's really important to have joy and to find joy in these moments, even when things are hard, right? To find joy in that moment. So one thing we do on this podcast is really try to center our own joy, you feel me? And like center our own happiness in a way. And so we talk about Black joy. So we try to have like Black joy moments on the podcast where we try to center our joy and speak about that.
Yeah. So Blake and I will like kick it off, but if we can get like 1 to 2 people to also come up here and spread some Black joy, we really appreciate it. I also understand like, if public speaking ain't your thing, like none of y'all gotta come up here if that's how y'all feeling, but it would be nice to get everybody involved. I don't know if you wanna kick it off. I can't. I'm trying to think what I did.
Put me on the spot. Being out of Chicago though, for real, like I came here maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I was still a student, and like just to be out here doing a podcast, doing something I love, doing something I'm passionate about, like that shit hella beautiful. Just never thinking like, especially the time I was out here last time, like I was just in a different position in life, so to have a time to reflect, to be like, oh damn, I'm here doing something I love, with my good friend out here, like that shit just brought me hella joy. And I'm trying to recognize those moments and celebrate myself in those moments, because sometimes it's like even as you go on and doing more things, you forget to find joy in the midst of the thing you're doing. And the whole time you be dreaming about like, oh shoot, I'm trying to do this one day, So like just being in Chicago off some shit we just started off a conversation. Like Dewency was really like, hey, you trying to start a podcast? I was like, I don't even really know what that shit is for real, but I had an iPhone, so I had the podcast app. I was like, all right, yeah, it's good, So to be able to be here a few years later talking, like y'all came to hear us talk, what the fuck? I don't even want to hear myself talk. Shit. But yeah, just being out here in Chicago, that shit hella lit. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with us for sure.
I'm gonna be honest. Can y'all hear me? Because I feel I can't hear myself. And y'all can hear me. All right. I do so much Black shit that it's kind of hard to keep track of it. But recently I went out with my mom. to dinner. I want to say that was, and my mom, she we like, I wouldn't say like super close in age, but she had me when she was 17, so I kind of feel like we like grew up together for real. She was definitely an authoritative figure, but I also view her as like one of my closest friends type shit. So I like super value the moments when me and her get to just link up and fuck around, have drinks, whatever, eat, whatever we doing. So we went out to dinner like a couple days ago, and she recently went to Jamaica. She's in Spain right now on a cruise, but she went to Jamaica like a week ago, and she was telling me about the trip that her and my auntie had, and it was just wild. It's like I've known her since, for me, she was 17 years old, and I think about like when I came into conscious, so probably I can remember like our earliest memories, like 20 type shit. But to see my mom from 20 to I want to say she turned like 45 on Monday, I think, like to just see her having so much joy, having so much fun, like, you know, traveling the world and shit, it definitely gave me something to like strive for. And I see my mom go through like a bunch of tough shit, like I'm sure we all have seen our family members go through. So like to see her experiencing that happiness and experience that joy, and like she in Spain right now by herself to the neck, fucking around. So like, it's wild. I don't even know if I got the heart to go do that shit by myself.
She don't even speak Spanish, do she?
I don't even think he asked me, they like, do she speak Spanish? I'm like, shit, I don't even know. That reminded me, like, damn, she really just took a risk. Like, you going to a whole other motherfucking place where you don't know what language they speak and none of this shit. But yeah, to see my mom out here living her best life for real, rocking, having hella fun and shit, that bring me a lot of joy. So yeah, I'm juiced for her.
For sure.
Living through her and shit.
Yeah, that's what's up. Two of y'all want to come up here, come share a joy moment they had this week?
Y'all got 55-degree weather.
Oh yeah, come up here. Yeah, the sun's out, right? Ain't no snow on the ground. If you could just introduce yourself and then tell your Black Joy moment.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm a third year in the college, and my joy-filled moment this week was when one of my closest friends, John A. Brown, won our student government slate presidency along with another one of my friends, Kosi Eshife, who won the basketball league. So 2 Black women are like the executives of our student government for next year, so that brought me a lot of joy.
That's what's up. Congratulations. We got some real Black presidents out here.
Oh shit.
Some real, I said real Black presidents.
Oh shit. Spicy in this motherfucker. Can we get one more person?
Shade.
You know what? I just want to say, because you brought up a point about, like, you looked at the statistic or whatever, that only 5% of, like, blacks make up the undergrad population. So I think all the blacks in this room, that let alone that got admitted to this university and are still matriculating through should give themselves a round of applause for, Black Joy, because, you represent that minority, but you're representing your community at large, just by gaining admission into a very prestigious university. And then, if you're still striving towards the goal of graduation, give yourself another round of applause.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. For sure. Anyone else want to come up and talk about that moment? For sure. It's good.
Hi, I'm Brig. I'm a 4th year in the college, and I recently got a job. Very excited about it.
Get that money, secure that bag, for real.
I'm working at the National Institutes of Health for a Black man.
Okay.
Black female scientist in the lab too, so I'm really excited about that. And just like my high school was kind of the inversion of Chicago. I went to a high school with like 97% Black and Latino. So coming here, it's a real culture shock for me, and I didn't think I could do it, but I'm really proud of myself. So, like, getting out of here finally.
Get that degree. I think one thing that's so beautiful about Black Joy is like oftentimes it's so collective too. So like even we have our individual accomplishments, it's like everybody over here like gassing each other up. Like that shit hella beautiful. Like, for the person to come up and talk about like, Black student government officials getting elected and that's their joy moment. Like that's how, and Delency talking about his mama, you feel me? Like and his mom having joy and bringing him joy. I think that's what's the essential part of Black Joy is that shit is collective. It ain't individual. It ain't on that white shit. It's about collectivism. You feel me? So we really rocking. Yeah, go ahead.
Appreciate y'all for sharing. A point that was made, I guess, like during our introduction is in addition to the Hella Black podcast, we also run a free breakfast program. which is People's Breakfast Oakland. And we started this, I want to say 2 years ago. And again, it came from Blake and I had just removed ourselves from an organization that we were working with out in the Bay Area. And, you know, after removing ourselves from that space, trying to figure, all right, nigga, how can we be even more effective? You know what I'm saying? We don't have as many resources as we did with that whole group of people that we were working with, that whole organization. But we got me and him, two passionate people, two people from the community that have the desire to make a difference. Like, what's some shit we could do? And I think at the time I had just finished Huey P. Newton's autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide.
Yeah.
That's an autobiography, right? Yeah. I had just finished that book, and it's like the Panthers was like super heavy on my mind. And with Blake and I both having family that was in the party, I'm like, nigga, we should. I think what most folks remember in Oakland, what we remember the Panthers for is like their school and their free breakfast program. I think what like the masses remember the Panthers for is like carrying guns, which is like, you feel me, super a necessity. And we'll talk about that later on in the podcast. But I'm like, before they was even strapped up and super militant, they was taking care of the basic necessities for their people. So I'm like, all right, my nigga, we're gonna take this shit back to the basics. How can we really, you know, be a resource for our people? I'm like, nigga, let's feed people. And that was the first conversation that we had. And 2 years later, it ended up turning to People's Breakfast Oakland, where the last time we did the fucking math, which is like a year ago or some shit, I think we had fed like 5,000 people. We had given out like thousands of clothes and hygiene packs and shit, right? For sure. So shout out to all of our volunteers, because the shit wouldn't happen without us. It don't even matter if me and him had the conversation. We not packing up all the hygiene packs. We not cooking all the food. We not serving it. So shout out to all our volunteers that also serve as a resource to the community. But yeah, People's Breakfast started based on just wanting to meet the bare necessities of the folks in our community.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because everybody want to talk about revolution. You know, people say revolution, people say Black Lives Matter, but a lot of times it's a very classist view of whose Black Lives Matter, right? So, you know, both of us coming from student organizing spaces, like specifically Black student organizing spaces, for us, like, it was very elitist in a lot of ways, you know, and so we're over here, you know, in West Oakland, about to record a podcast, and there's Black folks, you know, over the age of 50, living outside. You feel me? It's like, I haven't really seen too many houseless people out here, but like in Oakland, it's everywhere throughout the city. You know, you have big houseless camps, you know, everywhere throughout Oakland, throughout San Francisco, in the Bay Area. And for us, we're like, damn, how can we say that Black Lives Matter, and then we just walking past Black people every day who need our help the most, that are not just students, right? So like, if we're talking about a revolution, we got to really also center the people who was really most impacted by this white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society. You feel me? And those were people living on the streets. So we was like, all right, we got to figure something out. Let's feed people, you know. And then looking at the history of our own families, you know, having the Black Panther Party in our families, all right, let's just start simple. We can't talk about revolution if you hungry. Like, ain't nobody want to organize on an empty stomach. You feel me? So that was our first thing, was like, how do we center the most people, you know, who are impacted? And the people in Oakland who are houseless is 95% Black.
They did a study recently. They did a study. I think it was mentioned like in a recent article, and it was for sure over 90% of the folks in those houseless encampments were Black folks, and they were elder Black folks, like you said. I remember I met somebody at a program once, and she had went to like high school with like damn near like she was like older than my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So it might have been like around the same age as my great grandma, like 80 years old on the streets, bro. It was crazy. Like that shit, like, and that's why I think like community organizing and like grassroots organizing is so important. Cause I'm pretty sure y'all got people that come into this space, come into this university, Black folks that claim to be about the movement, claim to be about the people, you know, picking up the bag, speaking their shit, pushing their own agenda, whatever that might be. But
the Van Jones of the world. I don't know if y'all listen to Van Jones.
It's a lot of motherfuckers. We can go on and on. You know, like the list goes on of people that's supposed to be, you know, representing the Black community, representing the most oppressed and marginalized people, right?
Not all your skin is your kin, for real.
100%. But what People at Breakfast has taught me when I try to keep, like, hold me and Blake accountable is like, it's important to do that grassroots organizing, because like, how you gonna claim to serve a community, to serve a people, but you never amongst them? You know what I'm saying? And I think like claiming to speak for a whole group of people, claiming to speak for a whole demographic, without ever tying yourselves to them people, without ever spending time with them people, that's some elitist shit. And I'm trying to figure out the other word I'm trying to think of. But yeah, bro, like, yeah, not so much hypocritical, but I guess it's bullshit.
See, that's what we meant when we said we just gonna talk how we talk.
Yeah.
You know, we don't gotta put a big ass word on a nigga. That shit just bullshit for
Like,
real.
how you gonna claim
Capitalism
this?
is
Yeah.
bullshit. This shit, racism, that shit bullshit. It's for the birds.
How you gonna claim to serve somebody but you never would? How the fuck I'm gonna know what you need if I'm never with you?
I'm gonna tell you what you need though.
I'm gonna tell you what you need. That's some privilege that shit. That's a privilege that standpoint, right?
And even for us being out there, like we come with privilege too, because we all, you know, we all are sheltered. So for us, it's about removing our own ego too from our organizing and asking them like, what do you need? Right? All right, y'all don't like our soap? All right, for soap, we're gonna try some other soap.
Yeah.
You know, and just like really listening and seeing them as a part of your community. Like that's the way I view these folks, is they are a part of our community. That's my community. So when they be getting evicted off the sidewalk, that's my community getting evicted off the sidewalk.
Yeah, and
I ain't looking down, like we amongst.
Yeah, and allyship can go to a nigga head because you start getting in that savior complex shit, and it's just like you start thinking you know what's best for somebody, and I just feel like if you gonna help somebody, you should let them tell you how they want to be helped. It was like a situation. I remember when we first started People's Breakfast, right? We were like, oh shit, niggas need to be clean, so we getting I can't remember if it was the liquid soap or the bar soap that they wasn't fucking with, but they was like, yo, to use this shit we need water, my nigga. And it was like intention don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? We might have had the right intentions, but we wasn't listening to them. You know what I'm saying? We fuck listening. We never even asked. You know what I'm saying? And that's what community organizing and grassroots organizing has taught me. You put yourself amongst the people, you're gonna really figure out what they need. And if you're able to use your privilege to give them what they need, then that's real allyship.
Facts.
And as like student organizers, which I'm sure you all are, which is why y'all in this space listening to what we got going on, because we trying to, you know, hype motherfuckers up, get motherfuckers to do some shit that's gonna shift the culture. If you're gonna be an organizer, an activist, whatever buzzwords you want to use, you got to make sure you're immersing yourself amongst the demographic that you claim to serve, because they're gonna be able to tell you exactly what they need.
So I think the key thing is really just listening to people. Listen to people you serving. If you ain't listening to them, you ain't serving. You just telling them what they need, you know? So like, that's why we're very critical too, even of ourselves, right? So like asking ourselves like, all right, how we remove our own ego from this? How we, you know, take criticism from folks and build off that criticism. I think that's a very important part of community organizing, because a lot of times people are like, oh, you just need this. Or people have this, you know, talented 10th idea of what to do. I'm like, if you really read Du Bois, who came up with that talented 10th shit, he wasn't fucking with that shit either. Towards the end of his life. He's like, man, I was on some fuck shit back then. Like, that shit don't come from the top down. You know, so when we really talk about revolution, you feel me, we talking about from the bottom up. You feel me? When we say all of us and none of us, we talking about all of us. You feel me? And we really, part of it is about education. So like the podcast and the breakfast program, like for us, it's like interlinked. You know, so it's like, it's important for us not to just talk about these things. Because in my opinion, if you're just talking about it, but you ain't doing it, that's the academy. Oh, you could talk all this intellectual shit, you could use these big words, you could juxtapose this against that, but man, what are you doing with the shit you just researched? It should be about practice, right? The theory is good, but if you ain't practicing, it's just theory. Hello? I don't know.
Real nigga shit.
I be dogging the academy, but I work in the academy too. But it's trash. But you can use these tools. I think that's the biggest thing, is really using the tools here for liberation of your people. But don't think you better just because you in the academy, is my view. Because they want you to think that way, like, oh shoot, you know, I got this UC Berkeley ID, I'm better than you. It's like, nah, we amongst the people.
Like my nigga Ant say, it's a place for everybody in the movement. So we ain't gonna just sit up here and dog the academy, but we do gotta call out its flaws and the privilege that comes with being in this space. So again, don't just like, you looking at two niggas that graduated from college. I ain't gonna just knock the academy 100%.
We want y'all to graduate too. We ain't saying, you know, just drop all your shit and just power to the people. Nah, it's like, you know, do what you gotta do, you feel me? But just don't forget to get back and be a part of the people.
Yeah. So shout out to y'all. Y'all still fucking with us? Y'all not out there? I don't know.
Fuck, they talking shit like.
Pivoting, I'm thinking about the one thing we don't have in common. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that Blake has like hit me to, of like the similarities between Oakland and Chicago. We know the number one thing is chicken. We don't have that similarity. That's out. Like, that's out. I'm gonna keep dissing Harold till I leave this motherfucker. Like, that's just what I'm gonna keep dissing Harold. But
he said he was gonna really tweet his real thoughts once we leave Chicago, but you know, it's all coming out now.
Harold's is delicious. Yeah, but when I was talking, when we first touched down, I'm like, damn, bro, like this shit hella remind me of the Bay. Like, what the fuck? And he like, yeah, bro, we got a lot of similarities, a lot of shit that motherfuckers wouldn't know. Like, our current police chief was once the police chief of Chicago, right?
There's higher up in the administration, Ann Kirkpatrick or some shit like that.
I don't know that name.
Yeah. She the police chief in Oakland. Oakland had hella police chiefs in the past, like 4 years. Like, they really had 3 or 4 police chiefs in 1 week. Because they was all tied to a human trafficking scandal in Oakland.
I'm sure Chicago PD got some scandals too, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we talking about the 2 most notorious, in my opinion, most notorious departments in the country.
niggas dismantled the Panthers. You know, we like sister cities for real.
Yeah.
Trash. In terms of the police department.
Yeah, fuck the police, man. Fuck 12, man. We gotta get rid of them motherfuckers. You feel me? There ain't no good cop. Like, people want to talk about good police. Like, oh, we just need more, you know, some. I had a black man come up to me and say, we need more brothers in the police department. I said, yeah, all right.
That's the last thing we need.
That's the last thing.
That
like,
is literally the last thing we
and
need.
if you look at the research, we had a research institution, research one institution. Black cops be killing black people at the same rate as white cops. So why the fuck would we want more black cops?
Because it ain't the skin, it's the suit, my nigga.
That
blue
blue
suit is
line.
everything, bro.
Did you hear the recent comment? It's been in the news. It was by one of the mayoral candidates. He's a black activist. I think his name is Jamal. I forgot Green, I think, or whatever. But he came out and blasted the CPD most recently when he was running for mayor as the blue KKK.
Oh yeah, they took off the hood, put on the blue suit. That's what Malcolm said, you know. Fuck 12, but for real, yeah. So OPD had hella different police chiefs, and then you get a police chief from Chicago, and we know everything that's been going on in Chicago. So it's like, all right, you're doing bad shit in Chicago. All right, come over to Oakland, we'll accept you over here, and it's vice versa. So these cops that be doing all this bullshit, then they go to another city and continue doing bullshit. There ain't no systems of accountability for the police. They want to say, oh yeah, we'll get a citizens review board. That shit ain't got no power. And you know, you have a cop's brother on the board supervising everything. So we see a lot of similarities, especially, you know, out here. Just think about, like, you know, Fred Hampton, you feel me? And think about the Black Panther Party and seeing that shit starting in Oakland, you feel me? And being out here in Chicago and just knowing that history, especially the Panthers, you know, starting in Oakland. You know, Will Bobby Hutton, 16 years old, first recruit, shot and killed, assassinated by Oakland Police. You know, we here in Chicago where Fred Hampton was shot, killed, and assassinated by Chicago Police. Right, so these systems of repression we talking about when we talking about police, like, how do you say a good cop when the foundation of policing is slave patrols? Is there good slave patrols? Nah. That shit don't add up. But okay, let's have some good cops. We don't fuck with that shit. That shit ain't radical. Oh, we can reform the police. Well, we have reformed the police, and this is what the police are doing right now. Reform has gotten us the police departments that we see today. So why the fuck are you gonna reform them? You know? And people talk about district attorneys. That shit make me so sick. Hey, let's elect a progressive district attorney.
Like, what the fuck is like? What does that mean, bro?
Like,
what is a progressive district attorney?
I don't know. You get 15 instead of 20.
We can get a progressive slave master.
That's what it is. If we understand the system.
Instead of 100 lashes, you get 50.
They still lashes at the end of the day. So if we really understand in the system, you feel me, and we understand the prisons as an extension of a plantation, right? Because that's what we view them as. If you look at the 13th Amendment, we all familiar with the 13th Amendment? So if you commit a crime, you're subjected to involuntary servitude. That just means slavery, and just in fancy white words. Like, that's shit is slavery. So if we look at prisons today, there's more black people, specifically more black men incarcerated, you know, under correctional control. Shout out to Michelle Alexander, right? That was enslaved. So we see this form of policing, this system of incarceration, as a new form of slavery. So how the fuck do you have a good district attorney? The primary role of a district attorney is to incarcerate, enslave, so that black people produce, you feel me, everything for the society. All these bombs that be being dropped, like all this shit in the fucking prisons, like people who are incarcerated be building all this shit, all these bombs, all these military equipment. A lot of this should be coming from people being incarcerated. So it's like a free labor being used to advance this imperialist system. So when we talk about Palestine, we gotta understand these connections. You feel me? So free Palestine. We just saw some wild shit on Twitter earlier. We was talking about
At NYU, yeah.
they having the whole Zionist rave.
Yeah, and that shit what caught my eye is like what I've learned about like white supremacy and imperialism, right? Is they try to mask it as like strictly white faces, but that shit got many faces, bro. And that's what we try to tie into the all skin ain't your kin type shit. Cause I also seen a bunch of non-white folks out there celebrating Zionism. You know what I'm saying? So it's and what all this shit kind of taught me is that white supremacy isn't unique to us, which is why the revolution has to be across borders, bro. Like, period, point blank.
Because these borders that was created, you feel me? That's a result of colonization. White people stealing land, saying, okay, this is the border. You take one step over here, you in a different part. You take one step over here, you in another part. And we're gonna fight over that. That's colonialism, right?
Like, colonialism, bro, is global, my nigga. So therefore, the revolution has to be global. You feel what I'm saying? I think a lot of times we think that, again, like our oppression and our marginalization is like unique to us, and that's not the case at all. So if we got imperialism that's global, it's super important that the work that we do, the revolution that we lead, is also global. And like, so I'm thinking about how similar Oakland and Chicago are, and that's why it's important to have spaces like this. We all going through this. We talking about how literally y'all police chief is now our police chief. My nigga, the same shit that was going on out here.
Oh, we talking about y'all had like torture sites out here in Chicago. So somebody who was involved with that
is now coming to
Oakland. That shit don't make no sense. But it do if you understand white supremacy, because that's how that shit works.
It make total sense. Like and again, like this, it's so wild to know that these motherfuckers is going just packing their bags up at that. But that's literally how like colonization works, though. You know what I'm saying? You just pack your shit up and go from one place to another.
Be a colonial leader in a new city, and that's what she is. So we say not all skin is your kin, is we also know people who look like us ain't for us either. You know what I'm saying? Like if we in Chicago, so I think it's very fitting that we talk about who's our past president, Barack Obama.
I'm trying to be careful because I'm trying to make it home safe. Who in here fuck with this nigga before I say what I gotta say? Shit got quiet up here. That's what I'm saying. Like if we would have been in Oakland, niggas would have started booing. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas is booing, bro.
We said that shit, and I remember we had our first live podcast in Oakland. My auntie sitting right in front. You feel me? She looking at me just like, she my great auntie too at that. She like, he talking about.
My grandma has a painting of her and Obama in her front room.
That's how I know when we was at Harold's too. They had a painting too. They had Obama.
They had Obama,
Mandela, Martin Luther King,
and Malcolm, and the Oasis.
So like they looked like they was at King's Landing or some shit. They was all just chilling. I don't know.
It was wild. Like, it was like that was heaven.
Yeah, that was heaven. They was just rocking. I'm like, damn. Malcolm would not have fucked with Obama
at all. And
same with Martin.
Yeah,
but we want to talk about Martin as like, oh, this non-violent, like turn the other cheek. Like, if we understand him, he had straps too.
That's propaganda, my nigga. It's all propaganda.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
And Obama himself was an imperialist. Why did Martin Luther King get killed? He was anti-Vietnam. He was anti-capitalism. So once he started speaking about these systems of oppression, how they work globally, government was like, nah, and the FBI killed him. The same FBI that Obama worked for. But he's our first black president.
I mean, it makes sense though if you think about it, right? If your whole life you've been conditioned to view white supremacy as, you feel me, some hillbilly in a fucking cloak, you know what I'm saying? Not as
some redneck.
Not as a black man.
America.
if you haven't been taught to recognize white supremacy as a black man in a suit, you gonna think the nigga's your
Shit, I voted for that nigga for real. Like I'm dogging this nigga, but I voted. I was like, I had hope, man. I was drunk off that shit, man. He sold me that hope, man. Like he sold me some folk. He shake LeBron hand. He did the whole dap, everything. Playing basketball.
Come on, my nigga.
Beyonce at the fucking White House. Yeah, I'm gonna believe that shit. I'm voting for that nigga for sure.
Yeah, nigga, that's a lot of hope.
But then he gonna drop a bomb on you. He gonna say Blue Lives Matter. Build hell military. Pull your pants up.
To the organizers and young activists in Ferguson, Missouri.
Baltimore, he'll should have,
for the kids in, was it Parkdale, was the name of this shit?
Parkland. He'll shed a tear for Parkland, but he won't shed a tear, for
he told
Baltimore.
Black niggas to pull their pants up.
Mike Brown, Laquan McDonald, he won't shed a tear for that.
Calling niggas thugs.
Ooh, y'all looking at us like, oh shit, these niggas don't like Obama.
This is his hood. He did 20 years here as an associate professor. This is his hood.
That's his hood. He ain't even from Chicago though. He from Hawaii, right? That motherfucker, like I don't know. That motherfucker was sipping coconuts for real. he ain't even from Chicago.
What they say, if it look like a duck, it talk like a duck, it quack like a duck.
It's probably a duck.
Come on, that's what and I think.
But that's why it's so important to understand like this propaganda. You feel me? Especially as we come into this next election. Like, why are they gonna put Joe Biden a motherfucker weirdo? And who's gonna be the vice president?
Is it Kamala?
Like, I think they're gonna put Kamala Harris. Like, why the fuck? Like, people just rocking for Kamala. I'm just like, yo.
Because she black.
She black.
I almost did something foul. Hold on, wait.
She black.
She was in the sorority.
She a AKA. Like, she has all these credentials. Like, I'm not even trying to talk no shit. Like, if you think about it, if we break it down.
Bro, what's that little sound they be making? That's what I was gonna do. That's why I stopped myself. I swear to God, I stopped myself.
We gonna have to run out.
I really stopped myself. Like I had.
He went to University of Idaho. He don't know about none of that.
Hey, chill, nigga. What the fuck you
You ain't got no black frats over there.
Yeah,
You don't have none of that. Like,
play me though. Nigga. But nah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you got, you feel me, motherfuckers in sororities, went to HBCUs, nigga from Chicago.
HU, she says she from Oakland.
He could dunk, all type of shit.
Obama could dunk? That nigga dunk? I
I
don't
seen a
know.
picture of him doing some basketball shit. Seen he was dunking.
Probably photoshopped.
That's why it's super important, even with us, because we not exempt from this shit. We could turn out to be some total J-Cats a year from now. You can see me, you feel me, in front of a billboard talking about reform, and these niggas need to pull their pants up, and we need more expulsions.
If we ever say that, please knock us down.
And the police protect us and serve us, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to judge motherfuckers by their actions. Because what I'm learning right now as I navigate this world, as I navigate this space, is motherfuckers talk a really good game, especially people from higher education. They know exactly how to pander to our dire need for liberation. Like, they really know how to do that shit, and that's why it's important. I've always been taught that, like, actions lead to results, not talking. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you one thing but I'm doing another, what the fuck do what I say matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, actions are important. And as we get into, again, like Blake was saying, this election period, and they're gonna keep pandering these motherfuckers to us, whoever it might be, is black, white, whatever, whoever it is, they're gonna say shit that makes us wanna fuck with them, right? You think about, y'all got another staple from here, my nigga Kanye West, and his wife, you know, they making her the next abolitionist damn near. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same.
She's leading the movement, right?
She's leading the movement.
For prison abolition.
Not to mention all the black folks that have been organizing for this shit since the beginning of the time, right?
You know, but
You know
hey,
what I'm
I got a video camera.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna
So
start a
it's like,
reality TV show and prison reform. Yeah.
She's saying one thing, but constantly stealing from black creators, constantly exploiting black people, right? So what do we
Probably
judge?
using black labor to get people out of jail,
You know
out of
what I'm saying?
prison. You know.
So what do we judge people by? What they represent, what they say, or what they actually do? And I think that's super important as y'all continue to, like I said, grow and navigate this world. It's like, judge motherfuckers by what they do and not what they say.
People
That's
can talk
the
the talk.
easiest way to spot a white supremacist, my nigga. The easiest way.
Whew, shit. I don't know. I'm just like, damn. Easiest way to spot a white supremacist. There's a lot of people who look like us who be on some white supremacist shit. If you really just
Shout
look
out
at the
my nigga
actions. Obama. He got a real good Obama impersonation. I don't think he's gonna do it because we out here right
I'm
now.
chilling. I'm trying to make it home safe.
But if you really look at Obama's actions, right, he deported more undocumented people than any other president. So everyone want to talk about ICE now since Trump is just very vocal about shit. But Obama was playing chess. He was quiet about it. Funding the police, signing the Blue Lives Matter bill. So if you looked at everything that Obama did and judge him by his actions, what would you call him? The time, yeah.
That's one word. What else you got?
Dropped hella drone strikes, hella military bases on Africa, expanded that shit.
You know what this made me think of, bro?
Talk to me.
It makes you really think about like black liberalism versus black
Radicalism.
radicalism, right? So
We
like,
be finishing each other's sentences, like we really be partners for real.
what I think about is like black liberalism is like inclusion, like That is
we can include you into white supremacy. If you,
because like white supremacy is what we talk about with the Zionism shit, right? The shit that's
yeah.
going on in Palestine.
If you say pro-Israel, you know, you on that black liberal shit. Who is the candidates who are for president right now? Cory Booker, you know, he got his PhD in the streets apparently. Kamala Harris, she the top cop of Oakland, top cop of California. And all of them be at AIPAC. Booker took hella donations from AIPAC. He took probably the most out of any Democrat for a year. Yeah. But we say, oh, Cory Booker, you know, he from Newark, New Jersey. We gonna believe that. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so like real radicalism means like liberation for all people, bro. And like what I realize with black liberals, a lot of these motherfuckers be super anti-LGBTQ. You know what I'm saying? They never acknowledge ableism. They never acknowledge classism. You know what I'm saying? And like
if black folks stop buying Jordans,
not a Gucci
why they got all the Gucci belts?
Not a Gucci belt in sight. But like that's what them liberals be pushing, my nigga. And I'm telling you, like,
have you seen the value of the black dollar? Can you talk about the
black dollar lasts longer than any other dollar in America.
Why is that?
If we took the black dollar and we put it into the black community, black people would be 10 times as strong as they are today.
True. I gotta give me some Tubmans for real.
Come on, nigga. Get you a rush card.
You got that rush card for real?
Pay off your
black
loans,
card,
my nigga. Go ahead and handle that shit.
30% interest, but you know, get that Uncle Rush card for real. You be straight. Hey, think black for real.
Think black, you know what I'm saying?
If your bank ain't black, it's whack for real. But you know.
But no, on some real shit, right? So you think about, because I realize a lot of times now it's like niggas like, let's just call a spade, right? Like, don't call yourself a black radical, a black revolutionary, if you really are a black liberal and you just somebody that want to be included in the white supremacist society, right? You think about niggas who claim to be like pro-black, but again, super anti-LGBTQ. Like how you pro-black, my nigga? As if those two things can't be synonymous. You know what I'm saying? As if we ain't got black queer folks, black trans folks. So like that's super important. I feel like a lot of motherfuckers out here pushing this pro-black shit, but they're not for all black people. So how can you be considered a black radical? And again, my nigga, if you're not a black radical, you're not a black radical. Let's just call it what it is. But don't disrespect all the black radicals that came before us. Think about Huey. Like niggas, especially like where I'm from, I had these conversations with niggas so much in Oakland, because again, that's where the Panthers started, right? Like niggas love Huey.
How you love Huey so much, like
but hate queer folks, my nigga. How does
y'all didn't even read the letter he wrote.
Have you read
Being in Solidarity in 1970s, right? So it's 2019, and y'all say, "Oh yeah, Huey the party." I'm like, you don't even read Huey.
You possibly
you just like that he had straps and he had a black leather vest.
Niggas like to pick and choose what part of the Panthers they fuck with.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm like. And then you think about them niggas was ready to send Panthers over to
Vietnam.
Yeah. Ready to send Panthers over there, my nigga. So again, like
he was really sending niggas to the Vietnam.
Like
hey bro, fuck America. On the deadlocks, he said, fuck America, for real. I'm finna send Panthers straight to Vietnam to fight against American imperialism. That shit, you feel me? So like when people talk about black radicalism and try to co-opt it, that shit, I don't know, especially, having family in the party. Like my uncle's still locked down to this day. Jaleel Winter King, been locked up for 47 years in New York. You feel me? He was 18 years old joining the party. Shit. On his hella black shit. Just like really rocking for me before I was even born. So it's like when I see people trying to co-opt this aesthetic of black power, of black radicalism, but they ain't be about black radicalism, man, we finna talk about it. Cause y'all really just making money off the movement. If we think about Kim Kardashian, it ain't just about black, everybody really just co-opting this shit. Making money. Making hell money doing all these, $30,000 speaking engagements, but when's the last time you've really been in the field? Talking about politics. Like Black Lives Matter. Like Van Jones, he's one of the biggest culprits of it. Like want to play this middleman. Like, oh yeah, Trump is presidential. Like what? You was just saying like, oh, we need to reform all this. Like reform ain't shit though. But like trying to talk about, oh yeah, I'm for the people. I'm like, but you talking about what? Trump is cool? Fuck Trump. Fuck all presidents. You a president, you just a figurehead of the white supremacist state. Even a black one. So I'm like, you talk about a good president, how can you be a good president on stolen land? That shit don't add up.
Like the plane was designed to fly and the car was designed to drive, my nigga. The president is designed to be a white supremacist, oppressive piece of shit.
If you president of America, I'd include Obama too. Fuck that nigga. I saw him, yeah.
Damn, I mama, we're fucked. We're fucked.
Right on.
Hey, talk to me.
In describing a lot of situations. And the situation is very multi-economic, there's multi-white supremacy, there's multi-education, there's multi-socialization. And there's a lot of different fronts here. And the one thing that I think when you have
15.
multivariate situations, you get a lot of confusion as to how to deal with it. I think starting and finding a place to start is one place to start, then it moves from there. I tell you, the only way to deal with this thing is economics. Stop spending money, because when you're spending money, all you're doing is reinforcing the stuff you're talking about. Because you're feeding the dollars into the system that's repressive. So you got to be really diligent and mindful about how you spend your dollars. Spend your dollars with black people. We have a little aversion to doing that. Look in your communities and the businesses in our black communities have gone from used to be black to otherwise. But the first thing we need to do, in my opinion, at least a step, is to get a handle on how we deal with our own economics. Because that's where it makes a difference. Martin Luther King, when he did that bus boycott, it only cost 25 cents to ride the bus, and he brought the whole city of Birmingham, Alabama to the session. So, I mean, that's all I want to say. I'm just saying that, going all over the place don't get you no place. But when you start somewhere and make move in that direction, then that can create a fire that makes a flame that makes fire. That's all I'm saying.
For sure, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. 100, for sure. Economics though. Economics is a good point though, for real. Cause like, we talk about, I don't know, capitalism.
I'm anti-capitalist.
Fuck capital, like I don't really.
Economics is.
Yeah, but also like there really no ethical consumption under capitalism at the same point. You feel me? So it's like, shit, I don't really fuck with capitalism, but man, I got some Nikes on.
We're decked out in Nike right now. All of us are decked out in clothes that have probably been consumed and created in sweatshops. Yeah, and that's just capitalism for
I got an iPhone right here, like that's on some fuck shit. Like Steve Jobs on some fuck shit still. Like there's no really ethical consumption. Like you can really, it's actually real hard though, but I really do think there's alternatives to capitalism, but it's really hard to be ethical under this shit.
You can't be. There is no way to be ethical.
Especially like, you feel me? If thinking about how white supremacy works, it's like, bro, if you gotta get, sometimes you gotta get shit as cheap as possible.
That's why when I think about black capitalism and black economics, at the end of the day, we exploiting somebody. It might not be ourselves, but we exploiting somebody.
Like, I think Jay-Z is a perfect example of a black capitalist that be just fucking co-opting the fuck out of that shit. This nigga's like, gentrify your own hood before they do. I don't give a fuck about no black gentrifier, nigga. Black gentrifier, you feel me? You just like a white person to me. Like, we can still, you feel me? But it's like, oh, okay, it's Hov saying this, so we want to gentrify our own communities. He really did, though.
That's why, hey, y'all, we can't listen to everybody with money. Money and success.
Fame, that don't mean shit. I ain't taking no advice from Kevin Hart.
Are not synonymous. Those three things are not synonymous with intelligence or good intentions, my nigga. Like, we can't listen to everybody with money, my nigga. Like, especially someone that's thriving in capitalism. They ain't gonna give you more advice except for how to thrive in this oppressive system, my nigga.
And you want to talk about all this black owned shit? It's like, nigga, Title ain't even, like, you go to Title office, they had a photo. I'm like, all the motherfuckers white. You ain't even employing your own people. But Jay-Z could actually make a big ass difference in this community if he wanted to. He got clothing and shit. It's like, why don't you open up a store, you feel me, in the hood and hire people from the hood and actually don't take the ownership over and make it a co-op. So everybody who working in this shit is actually a part of the ownership.
Who we getting these materials and shit from though?
But if we produce it ourselves, it could be a way. He got enough money to produce the shit himself. At the root of it, nigga, we're exploiting somebody.
Somebody.
Yeah, period. That's facts.
At the root of it, we're exploiting somebody. That's just what it is. Let's just call it what it is, my nigga.
Call a spade a spade.
if we're going to immerse ourselves into this capitalistic society, we're going to exploit someone. They might not be black, but they might not be black, but we exploit somebody. And is that revolutionary? Is that radical?
Shit, even being American, you know, you got privilege.
Nigga said, I don't think it's white. Who? Beyonce? Yeah. Oh, shit. Who's talking about Jay-Z?
I'm talking about his wife.
Hey, the Beehive really finna rock, man. The Beehive strapped up, man.
You talking about Beyonce?
Shit. Well, yeah, you know, just get us back, you know, where we rocking. We really, I don't know. I think, you know, Nipsey had a kind of a good blueprint. You know, he wasn't perfect by no means, for sure. But
he was a black capitalist too.
I think he was on some cooperative shit though. Like really, he was employing his own people, employing his own hood, giving niggas ownership over their own shit. You feel me? Like Jay-Z was more so on some like, this is just mine. You feel me? Like Jay-Z, you know, ain't tapped in like the way Nip was, you feel me? Like
100%.
Really starting his own shit, putting his own people on, creating his own businesses and giving his people ownership over that.
For what it seems like to me, it's like Jay was starting shit, but then partnering with white folks. Yeah.
Some Illuminati shit.
Well, something I want you to get into before we like transition to like the Q&A portion is something that I think you're like super versed in, and we were talking earlier with some of the students, and they started to organize for shit on campus at this white institute, at this racist institute. So I think you should definitely touch on like the importance of student activism and your experience with that.
Yeah. So a lot of my work and my introduction into organizing came out of Black student activism at UC Berkeley. So, you know, around the time of Michael Brown and, you know, Black Lives Matter, when the movement was really, you know, kind of being started, so folks from Ferguson came to Cal and they was like, what y'all doing? It was like Tef Poe, some other folks came and like, y'all ain't doing shit. Basically called us out, like, are y'all gonna protest? Y'all gonna do something? You feel me? All this shit's happening in Ferguson. Y'all supposed to be right next to Oakland. What y'all finna do? Like, all right, bet, for sure. We gonna take y'all call out and we gonna do something with it. So we shut down one of the main campus eateries where everybody go get food. It's called the GBC. And we shut that down for 4.5 hours to be in solidarity with Mike Brown. It was be in solidarity with people in Ferguson because Mike Brown's body was laid out in the street for 4.5 hours. So we shut down campus, and then we're also like, damn, Berkeley don't really got shit for black people like that. Like we have a African American student development office with like 2 staff people, but that's the only thing that we had. So we made 10 demands for institutional change. And one of the most important demands was demanding for a Black Resource Center that we have today. It's called the Fannie Lou Hamer Black Resource Center. So we protested, organized, and fought for these 10 demands to make institutional change on the campus so that Black students had a place to go. Like we have a Black theme program where Black folks could live together, an Afro house where Black folks could live together, African American Studies department. I like to say Black Studies, but it's called African American Studies. It's a whole other topic. But you know, we really have some black shit, and a lot of it came at the product of student organizing and really making demands. So we made 10 demands. The chancellor looked at us like, nah, we ain't fucking with you. Like, all right, bet. You say that now. We knew we was finna win. You feel me? So we organized. We shut down Say Their Gate, which is one of the main entrances to campus on the biggest day. It's like 40,000 people on campus, right, coming to Cal to see how great Berkeley is. And we shut down Say Their Gate, the main entrance. Just like literally 20 of us, 25 of us, arm in arm, like y'all motherfuckers ain't getting through. And we said, we got these 10 demands, you gonna meet our demands, and that's that. A couple weeks later, like, all right, we gonna meet your demands. We opened up a Black Resource Center. That's probably about the size of this building to where Black students can get resources. So we like.
Hold on. The building or
oh, not this building, this room.
Size of this room.
It was this building, man, shit. The size of this room. You know, but the old space we had was hella small. It was like, you know, if I'm in there, you can only fit like 5 people.
Shit was very small. I've been there.
This shit is small.
Small
as fuck. So like, Black student organizing and organizing for spaces, that shit hella important. It's like, how we gonna be in the city of Berkeley, which is historically hella Black, right next to Oakland, but not have no Black spaces, not have no African, you know, like shit dedicated to Black people. It's like, I heard they don't even have no Black Studies department on this campus.
Yeah, essentially the same shit y'all going through up here.
Ain't no Black Resource Center, ain't no Black Student Development Office. Like, but one message I want to say is like, if that's a resource that you want, like that shit could happen. You feel me? You don't gotta wait for nobody but yourselves in here, and it don't gotta be hell with people to do it. So that's one thing that we did on Berkeley is really was just organizing and fighting to have a black space, to have black professional staff, to support black students, to plan events, to have like retention. Because at Berkeley, the dropout rate is hella high for black students. Like 6 out of 10 black students are graduating. Shit, if you were a black student athlete, it's 4 out of 10. If you're a black male student athlete. And you know, black athletes are making millions and millions of dollars off of, but they ain't graduating. So that's one thing we for sure want to talk about is like, you can really demand some shit, pull up on your president, pull up on your chancellor with demands. Like, we'll even work with y'all, you feel me? Like, about some shit if y'all want, you know? Like, to demand shit to make sure there's changes on this campus, and that's gonna affect the next generations of students. Like, shit, I'm paid because people protested for me. I work at Berkeley, you know, in African American student development, and students fought for that office to exist. Like, I teach African American studies. Students fought for that shit to exist. People in the community, just regular black folks, you feel me, fought for that shit to exist. People who were part of the party, all that shit in Oakland, fought for all these resources to exist, and that's one of the reasons why I have a job. So just think about like the legacy that y'all leave on this campus too. Like, y'all can really fight for these resources to exist. And like, we in a black ass neighborhood right now. It's a shame that there ain't no black resources on this campus, but they probably actively gentrifying, right?
And it's like the students that that take space in the Black Resource Center at Cal, they also volunteer at our breakfast program. You know what I'm saying? It's like
and we started a garden too. So like, we really have a garden, and half the proceeds from the garden be going to the breakfast program, feeding the houseless people. So it's like, it's not just to fight for a black space, but to fight for a black space that's actually gonna serve the community off of campus too. Like, yes, niggas need resources here, but the community need resources too. So how can we tap back in and use these resources and take this shit from the ivory tower and take this shit back to the hood? You feel me? So that's like a big thing that the Resource Center is about.
And again, it's a whole community thing. You'll be surprised what folks out here going to support y'all up here. Shit, I was just a nigga that lived in Oakland, and I broke the story on what they was doing up at Cal for one of the biggest publications in the city, just trying to be in solidarity with them, what they had going on, the black students up at Cal. So it's the work that y'all doing will affect the entire community, but the entire community will come to support y'all as well.
Facts. And we talk about revolution though a lot. Like, you know, people talk about nonviolence a lot. Like, oh yeah, we gotta turn the other cheek. You know, we gotta be peaceful in the face of violence.
Yeah, I think there was in Southern California the other day. They found that white nigga house with
1,000 straps, over 1,000 straps. Like, this motherfucker had assault rifles too. This motherfucker a white supremacist. He had hella guns.
Why would one person have 1,000 guns? So you really think this nigga was by himself?
For the government to intervene on a white man having guns, like, this motherfucker really was probably up to some shit.
He was on some shit that was gonna affect
like the ATF motherfucker, them motherfuckers caught this white person like, hey bro, I'm sorry to do this to you, but
hold on, nigga, this one too many bullets, nigga. Like,
yeah, man, you got like 10K rounds and 1,000 straps, and they automatic. You know, in gun control in California is supposed to be strict, and that's also because of the Panthers.
How was this nigga able to get 1,000 guns, bro?
He used to be able to open carry in California. But then, you know, the Panthers went up to Sacramento with straps, you feel me?
Them niggas started pressing police.
And then the only time the NRA ever sponsored gun control is when niggas had straps. So really you mean, all right, we want white people to have guns.
Oh, that's not what we meant. We meant, hold on, wait, nigga.
Wait, bro.
We didn't mean you.
We didn't mean the African Americans. Like, what?
And I think guns can be super scary, and I think they have such like a negative, I feel like there's such like so much negativity associated with them. Like, if we think about like self-preservation in a white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society, I feel like a gun is at the top of that list if you're gonna preserve yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is in Los Angeles where a nigga had progressive California, where a nigga had 1,000 guns, bro.
Democrat state where there's all these gun laws apparently.
You don't think you deserve to preserve yourself?
So
like at the very least, you don't think your life matter that much to where at least you could be able to protect yourself from somebody?
I don't know. I think I love my life. I love my people's life.
Fight for this shit.
And you know, it's like, you fire me once, I might take a step back. All right. You might try to punch me twice. Take another step back. But if you punch me 3 times, man, I'm liable to defend myself by any means I see necessary, especially from this white supremacist state. But we're taught to think that our lives, we can't defend ourselves.
How come everybody can have guns except black people? That's what I just want to know.
And we be talking about revolution. You know, it's like, how do you say revolution without thinking about like what an actual revolution is? There ain't been no revolution without bloodshed.
And white people didn't show they not going out easily. Like on some for real, if we gonna be honest with ourselves, like white people have shown us over the course centuries, there's hundreds of years of data that show white niggas is not going out, white people not going out without a fight. They not going out without a fight for real. Damn, all right.
He said, whoa.
Shout out to y'all for having us. I hope y'all learned something. Nah, on some for real shit, like we definitely gonna get into like, unfortunately we gonna get into a Q&A portion.
Yeah, but I think we really think though, like we talking about guns and the movement, guns have a certain purpose. Do I think every nigga need a gun? No. Not everybody need a gun. But like if we talking about defending our communities, you know, it's like I always remember my uncle would always tell me, he said, I knew it was safe to go outside in East Oakland, deep East Oakland, when I saw a panther on the block with a shotgun and a braid. He's like, it was safe for me to go outside when I see, you know, a black person out there strapped. And that had a lot of resonance. It's like, even it's on 55th and Market, that song they have. Like the Panthers literally was like escorting children across the street because children was getting hit by people driving too fast with guns. There was no stoplight, you feel me? They was escorting people across the street. So it's like, if we talking about feeding our people, we talking about protecting, we gotta protect our people too. You feel me? And none of us, we don't like violence, but self-defense isn't violence either.
I'm super passive, my nigga.
Like, defending your life is not violent. If we love our people, it's like we can't just, we in this generation where it's like, open your phone and record. Fuck that shit, intervene. You feel me? It's like we just gonna pull out our phone and just, you know, that shit trash. We live in this social media generation where it's like, all right, we gonna damn near watch somebody die. The fuck? So for real, I think self-defense is super important. When we think about self-defense, it ain't just about guns, right? Like I think People's Breakfast Oakland think about food, just the basic necessities and basic things that we think might be basic is not basic, and that's also a form of self-defense. Think about food autonomy in our own communities, right? Like having our own autonomous food. Like one goal that we have for People's Breakfast Oakland is like, damn, let's grow our own food where we have a program that all the shit was grown by us. All the food we served was by us. Because if we don't have no food autonomy, is that liberation either? You know what I'm saying? So it's like really thinking about self-defense, not just in the only aspect of guns, but in different ways. You know, it's like really protecting each other. I think that's really a duty that we all have, is really, we gotta love and protect each other. And in my opinion, it ain't love if you don't protect each other.
Facts.
So that revolutionary love, you feel me? That Asada Shakur love, you know what I mean?
Real nigga shit.
But thank y'all so much for fucking with us. We appreciate y'all. We really rock with y'all.